Hi, good evening. My name is Dani Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me here at DaniJohnson.com. First of all, tonight is going to be totally centered around business. And the last week we did a video and training about how to handle this COVID-19 cabin fever. It was called actually COVID-19 Cabin Fever Relief is what the name of the video. Last week, it was about an hour and 45 minutes of training on how to keep things more harmonious and peaceful in the home while you're trying to work from home, dealing with kids, making sure that you are staying, in a good space, mentally, emotionally, physically. I gave strategies on how to save money, strategies on how to have more fun, and how to help the family get stronger together and closer together. And so if you missed that, you can, right here at this website, you can find that recording and take advantage of that training, and it was absolutely free. The week prior to that, I had done a webinar, and now I'm not even remember what that first one was, whatever it was. Anyway, plus you may have seen a few different Facebook Lives over the last couple of weeks. We're really here. DaniJohnson.com is a website that has been here, and it's a free website that's been here for 17 years. This is our 17th year producing helpful content, information, training, skills, strategies to be able to help you succeed no matter what is going on in the economy. And we've certainly, in 17 years, have seen a lot of different economies come through. But prior to even that, I've actually been teaching and training in the marketplace. I've been in business for 31 years, which I cannot believe, honestly. I'm a mother of 5, soon-to-be grandmother of 9, and my husband and I actually started this website 17 years ago to bring skill and development into the marketplace, and predominantly we started off with just business. Through the years, we have ventured off into other arenas as well as our clients, as their needs had been they've been coming to us for lots of different reasons, whether it was spiritual equipping, family equipping, financial equipping, and business and workplace, getting workplace dominance. And so right now, we're in a crazy time. Isn't that just, I don't think there's another word that describes it. We're just in a crazy time. And if this is your very first time joining us here on this website, my name is Dani Johnson. And prior to being in business, I actually grew up in a violently abusive, drug-infested home where I was molested from the time I was 3 until I was 16 years old. I moved out of the house because I was just done. And there was no way of getting help for all of the violence, verbal, emotional, mental, and physical, and I mean absolute horrific violence. Grabbed by the throat, shoved up against walls to be cursed at by a man who was 350 pounds and 6 foot 10 inches tall. And so the house I grew up in was just nothing but crisis, so much crisis. I then took that wonderful training because all of us were either groomed to succeed or we were groomed to fail accidentally. My parents did the very best that they could, that they knew how to do based on, again, the training they had when they were growing up. So I took the training I had, and I made really bad choices. I got pregnant at the age of 17 out of wedlock in a tiny little town. Well, that did not float over very well. From there, I actually started in business at the age of 19, and which brings us to 31 years. I don't even want to talk about this. Anyway, so at 19, I first started in business, and I didn't get started because I thought that I could succeed. I got started in business because I knew I could fail. And being raised by a verbally abusive and physically abusive man who told me I was a failure, I was fat, stupid, ugly, and I could never do anything right, and I would never succeed. The best hope that I would ever have was to marry some guy that had money, and that'd be the only way that I'd actually even have somewhat of a good life, which was quite ironic because he had no money. Anyway, so at 19, I happened to meet some very successful business people. And these successful business people actually came through a gentleman that I was dating at the time who was 10 years older than I was. He grew up completely different than I did. Yes, his parents were divorced, but they actually remarried 25 years later. They just, the family was just a nice family. Everyone was super educated, where I came from a family where there was not an education. Nobody went to college in the family that I grew up in. Most of everybody had been drug addicts addicts or alcoholics, and mostly single mothers. That pretty much was our family. And so after getting started in business, I failed miserably the first 6 months. I could not get anything to work. I mean, everybody that I talked to, that I tried to share my company, my product, my service that I had available for the marketplace, just got the same answers. We don't have the money. We can't afford it. That's really not for me. Call us in 2 weeks. I need to talk to my spouse. Like, I heard all of those excuses, and here I was so excited about what I had, but nothing was working. And for the first 6 months, I lived off of my credit cards, didn't know how I was going to make my rent payment because I was getting no sales, like nothing was happening. Then I met somebody who was about 4 years older than myself. Yes, he had a college education, and yes, he was, this big, strong kind of jock. But I knew for some reason that isn't why he was successful. We were in the exact same arena, and we were actually competitors. And I humbled myself, and I begged him. Now I'm 20 years old. I begged this 24-year-old kid, please teach me how to crawl, walk, then run. He agreed to do so under some very strict guidelines. Right now, we don't have the time for those strict guidelines. Those strict guidelines are actually taught in our 2 and 3 day training courses that I've been doing for 29 years come next week. From there, I started to make money. I started to learn how to make business work. And I learned some new skills and some new attitudes, really more than anything, on how to be able to make it work and how to communicate with the public in a way that made what we were doing to be more attractive to them and to make them say yes to our product instead of saying yes to our competitors. So the long and the short of it is, the next 6 months, I made $50,000, which was a lot of money for a 21-year-old kid now. Then I met a guy that I knew for 7 days, got married. Within months, my business had been embezzled, which I had actually sold for $250,000. It was in escrow. Going to make the transaction, my business had been embezzled. I was 3,000 miles away from any family or friends. And my husband now was 3,000 miles further away from me, living with another woman, and I had $2.03 to my name and a $35,000 debt. Now, I don't tell you this stuff to make myself sound like another whining, pining broad who's a victim. No. Let me tell you what happens next. After being homeless for 30 days, 50 pounds overweight, a $35,000 debt, and $2.03 to my name, had been suicidal since I was 6 years old, something happened inside of me, and I made a decision that no more was I going to allow my life to be what it was, and I was going to make some massive changes as to who I was going to associate myself with and the things that I would focus on. You see, I had focused for those 30 days on how I wanted to get my hands on my husband so I could give him a real piece of, what perhaps could have been due to him. But the fact is that at the very end of that first month of being homeless, I got a message deep down inside of me that said, step up, rise up, and do something great with your life. I stopped focusing on what I could not make happen, and I had to focus on what I could make happen, and did. Started a business from the trunk of my car in a payphone booth, and in 4 days made $2,000 profit. With what? Nothing. I had no product. I had no licensing agreements. I had no contracts. I had no one to turn into my customers. But what I did have was some skill from the year and a half before that I invested $25,000 into that skill when I didn't have the money. And I did that in the form of training seminars that taught me very specific things that changed everything for me. And so I decided that I was going to use those skills and I was going to wing it whichever way that I had to wing it. And I did. I ended up with 40 customers in 4 days. That's an average of 10 customers a day, making $2,000 profit, generating $4,000 in revenue at a time, by the way, where the economy crashed. I was in a town of 5,000 people where I did not have a good reputation. I had bounced checks back when people wrote those things. I had bounced checks all over town because I did not know that my account had been drained yet. My credit cards I didn't know were maxed out yet until somebody actually called me to collect and charge me the $25 fee for bouncing a check. Gave them a credit card. Oh, here, go ahead. I've got plenty of room on this card. And it was declined. Gave him the next card. It was declined. Gave him the next one. I'm telling you, when you hit rock bottom like that, things begin to change. And so, like I said, in 4 days after being homeless for 30, made $2,000. The next 30 days on a part-time basis, because I was working full-time as a cocktail waitress, made $6,500. That next 30 days, I made over 10 grand. The next 30 days, okay, now I'm in April. That was December 26th to the 30th of the month. To now April, $14,000. My 10th month, my income was over $80,000 a month. I made $250,000 my very first year and made my first million by the end of my second year. This all happened by the time I was 23. So I understand crisis. I understand being like homeless, okay? Not a figurative speech. No, homeless, living in the back of my car, sleeping in public places, showering in public places. Was I digging through dumpsters to find food? No, thank God I had gotten a job as a cocktail waitress. I had access to food and sadly a little too much alcohol, which I completely abused while I was under that so much stress and so much pressure. So I'm going to stop us right here because for the last 31 years, 29 years actually since I was homeless, I have managed, my husband and I both have managed to make a tremendous amount of money. In our first 10 years of making money, we screwed up really, really bad and we spent all of it and some of somebody else's, mortgage, credit cards, car loans, which was so foolish and stupid. 20 years ago, we had the biggest wake-up call of our life. Diagnosed with a fatal heart condition and lost all of our savings that my husband had put in the stock market, lost all in one day when the stock market crashed in 2000, March 17th of 2000, lost it all. Doctor says I can't have any stress. I had 4 little tiny children in the house. No stress. Being married, hello, no stress. Just being me, hello, no stress. Not to mention a house that we were living far above our means that was much bigger than we needed, 6 bathrooms, which was stupid. We spent money foolishly. And then when everything crashed, we had all of these regrets. Now, you might be sitting in a place right now, my friend, where everything has come crashing down on you. Whether it's the virus, or you think it's the politics, or you think it's corporate America, or the international globalists. That kind of was stupid. The globalists, right? The Illuminati, whatever it is that you think that is against you, you're right, something is. But what if that which is against you, where you're calling it everything or everyone is against you, which I remember feeling that way myself, going through some massive crises, whether it's health crises, marriage crises, kid crises, death crises, or all of the above, including the financial crises, all at once. And that could be where you're at. And if you're not there yet, friend, you might be coming up here soon, or you will know a lot of people who are going to be suffering greatly financially. Because no matter what, that stuff is hitting everybody, and there is an impact. So in fact, I want to tell you, our CEO, Ken Brown, handed me some numbers before I came in here in the studio. 47 million people have been affected, have lost their source of income. 47 million people in the last 3 weeks. That is a crazy number of the amount of people who are now out of work. Who's going to be affected by that? Not only them, not only their family, but are they renting a house or an apartment? Are they going to be able to make their rent? Well, it depends. If those 47 million people had been wise financially for the last 10 years and they had put away money, and they had paid off all of their debts, well, then they're going to be fine. Those people who didn't have a mortgage, those people who didn't have any credit card debt, those people who did not finance a new car every 2 years because they just got the itch and felt like they deserved a new car, those people who lived really frugal and didn't waste money by throwing away food, and they didn't eat out 3-4 times a week, those people are going to be fine walking through this major global crisis that's happening right now. And the businesses who also were wise, sometimes what entrepreneurs do and business people do is that they actually spend more foolishly in business than they do personally. And if they have bad financial habits personally, they tend to have bad financial habits in their business as well. And so depending on the business, the ones who are well financed, what do I mean by that? The ones who've got some good solid cash reserves, they built a storehouse over the last 2, 3, 10, or 20 years, those are the businesses that are going to do fine. To be honest with you, I got these numbers also, that people who actually do events, people who hold trainings, 45% of those organizations like ours, are looking at closing their doors. Man, that's like half. Half of those organizations that hold events, who hold trainings, whose businesses are connected to hotels and airlines or some form of transportation, when you got states locking down and not permitting people to leave, if those companies were not healthy, they did not have a storehouse, they had some bad financial habits, those companies are going to get rocked and perhaps not be in business anymore. But those who have been wise during the season of plenty are the ones who are going to be okay during this season of less, and in some cases, famine. And if you can't see that right now, that's actually the direction we moved into, you got to pull your head out, man, because the winds have changed and we are now in a new economy. And I want to make sure you are going to be solid in this new economy. I want to make sure that you are going to be equipped and that this issue, this cycle, to be honest with you, because we literally have just come out of 7 years of plenty. And unfortunately, most of the business owners out there during the season of plenty bought boats, they bought second houses. Many of those business owners bought new cars. Maybe they even bought a whole brand new fleet for whatever their business is, whether it's construction or pool services or whatever, rather than storing money away and learning to invest that money and living very frugal, right? If they didn't do that, they don't have anything for the famine that just hit the land, that just actually is hitting the planet right now, because there's going to be domino effects of what's taken place. So we want to make sure that you succeed, that you not only survive during this coming months, because this is not going to turn around fast. Yes, I believe that there's going to be a few little blips here and there, right? That as soon as all of the, the states are like, go home, stay home, don't leave your house. You can only go to the store or the doctor, and pretty much that's it, or the bank. As soon as that gets let up, people who've been addicted to eating out, they're going to flood the restaurants. The restaurants that actually survive, those places are going to do well for a little minute until, of course, all the great bills come, and then there's going to be something else that's going to happen. Okay, so I've obviously made it through some major hard financial times, and so I want to kind of direct you on how do you not only just make it, but how can I kind of forecast the best way that I can moving forward? The next 90 days. Let's just talk about the next 90 days, because we really don't know how long all of this stuff is going to be taking place, right? So, like I said, first of all, your norm perhaps has been shaken, or you can see that your norm is going to be shaken. I talked to several business owners today, in fact, friends of mine right in the little town that we live in. One restaurant is they're doing fine. Yes, they've had to shut temporarily, but the owners have been wise. They've been really wise, and they've got plenty of money, and they're able to keep people at a part-time basis. This is a restaurant. We're talking servers. The servers can't be making tips, right? But the cooks, and so what are they doing? They're using the time to get organized inside of the business, inside of the restaurant. They're using the time to, log recipes, all the things that they haven't been able to do. They're being very productive during this time, and they've got enough cash in reserves to be able to sustain them at a certain rate. Obviously, not everyone is making the same as when they did when the restaurant was thumping out thousands of dollars every single day in revenue. It can't be. So let me give you that message to you. If you are trying to run your business as though nothing has happened to the world, you're being a fool. You're going to have to let go of what was, and you've got to pivot to what is. And you have to deal with what is. And guess what? It's okay to deal with what is. In fact, it's wise to deal with what is. Here's another thing. You also have to look at what you can be doing right now, not just looking at what you can't be doing right now. This is hugely important for creativity be flowing from you so that you're solving the problems that need to be solved. And by the way, you're not a failure if you are having to trim things down. You're actually being wise to sustain that business so that when things start to turn around, and I'm not saying turn back around to where it was, we just came out of the greatest economy that we have seen in years, if not decades, right? So we're not going to get back to that, overnight. I don't care what anybody says, not happening. Absolutely not happening. There is going to be a ripple from this, and if we adjust appropriately, we're going to be okay. And as long as you are letting people know, listen, I would love for us to just keep doing business as usual, but business is not as usual anymore. There's a new norm, and you have to make the adjustments for the new norm. And by the way, there might be some people inside of your organization that you love, that you adore, that are really, really talented. Bottom line is if they are not able to produce revenue for the business to stay open, the reality is that something has to cut. We can't spend money that doesn't exist. I love how right now the government's trying to do all this stimulus. I mean, they're doing the best they can, okay? All I know is, and you would have to agree, you're glad you're not those leaders, right? All of us have got to be so glad we are not in their shoes. I'm glad I'm not the mayor of my town. I'm glad I'm not the governor of my state. I'm glad I'm not the president of the United States. Wow, the amount of pressure and the things that they're having to manage is ridiculous. No matter which team you're for, whether it's the donkey team or the elephant team, doesn't matter. The bottom line is they are all under a crazy amount of pressure to solve problems that are getting created every single day, meaning there's new problems getting created every single day, and the virus is just one of them. There are far many more problems that are being created. So, adjusting to what your new norm is, let me just tell you something. You might feel like you've been blocked. You might feel like you've been stopped, strangled, even trapped with your business, or in the business that you've been investing time into as an employee. Guess what? It's a new season. You have to recognize that season, and you have to see what you can do. Don't stay focused on, don't be a victim inside of these circumstances. Don't do whatever you have to cut off your ties to being a victim to circumstances. You see, those that succeed, somebody asked this question of us recently, what's the difference between those that succeed and those that don't? Why is it that some do and some don't? It's really simple. You see, those that succeed think that their circumstances don't determine their success. Unsuccessful people think that their circumstances determine their success. I'm going to say that again. Successful people know that circumstances do not determine their success. They're not defined by the virus. They're not defined by the economic turn. They're not defined by the stock market crashing. They're not defined by those things. But people who fail are defined by their circumstances. So it's a question for you. Are you allowing the current circumstance? You're like, Dani, that's so insensitive. No. What I'm trying to guide you on right now, as I've guided millions of people throughout my career, that most people who come to us are in a crisis. And we've done a really good job of helping people get out of their crisis and into not only stabilizing, but succeeding greatly against all odds. Why? Because I've personally done it. And we have seen hundreds of thousands of people turn their financial life around since I started doing what I'm doing with you right now. And really more largely in our 2-day training seminars. Okay, so what I want to show you is to get you on the path, whether your income has been substantially reduced or it has been completely cut off, or you're looking at, well, Dani, it's looking like it might be cut off. Bottom line, the world is in a timeout right now. And it's just a matter of time before it affects everybody in some way, right? So the most important thing is that how are you seeing this circumstance? Because if you're a victim, the government, they should have, how much does it profit you to be talking about them right now? That statement itself is wasting time, and time is precious, and time can produce money or it can take money right out of your pocketbook. So listen to me. Watch your head with the business. And if you're blaming anybody, if you're blaming your spouse, if you're blaming the customers, if you're blaming anybody, you're blaming the government, you're blaming the church, you're blaming anybody for your current set of circumstances. You're blaming the kids. You're blaming those that did not believe in your dream or your vision. Guess what? You're wasting time. And time can turn into profits. And time can create something creative that can cause you to be sustained. So stop wasting time with focusing on things that you cannot fix and that you cannot affect. The only one you can affect is you and how you're going to deal with these circumstances. So break the ties to being a victim. And the first step is to stop blaming other people for your current set of circumstances. You need to own your own stuff. So listen, if you didn't make wise financial choices in the last few years, the last 10, 20, 30, 40, or 50, guess what? Own that stuff. Own it fully so you can change it. Because here's where I'm going to take you. Guess what? When I was homeless, and here I meet a guy and I know him for 7 days, and then I open all my bank accounts to him and my credit cards to him. That was foolish. I didn't even know the guy. For months, I blamed him. And then when I woke up and went, I cannot fix what I blame. You cannot fix what you blame, but you can fix what you take personal responsibility over. So what will you own in this set of circumstances? So here's really important. You can't learn what you need to know to thrive in today's new economy. You cannot learn if you are blaming. You cannot learn if you are a victim. So take a personal account. Where are you at? How did you get here? Are some things that you wish you would have done better in the last year, in the last 2 years, in the last 10 years? Listen, if you actually came and met us 10 years ago, and you came out to a First Steps to Success, and you did not follow War on Debt, you did not listen about the communication training, you didn't listen about building a database, you didn't listen about being able to communicate one-on-one with people, knowing how to motivate them, you didn't listen to that content, and you also didn't listen about your own weighing your ego with your bank account, but instead, you decided to stay the same. Right now, you got a long list of things that you say, oh, I wish I would have done this different. I wish I would have done this different. Because let me tell you something about traumas and crises like what we're all going through right now. Let me tell you something. Pain is a great teacher. Pain is a great teacher. It's actually one of the best teachers that's out there, sadly. For some of us, we're so thick-headed, especially those of us who are entrepreneurs. We are thick-headed. And we tend not to learn from our mistakes. We tend not to learn what life was trying to teach us when it was teaching it softly. But man, when that belt comes out, it's leather and studded, bam, and you're getting it on the backside badly, that's where you're like, okay, I get it. But if you're blaming, you'll not get it. So I want you right now to make a list of 3 things that you wish you would have done better in the last 12 months to have prepared you, that if you knew this was coming, even though there were people like myself warning you that this was coming, people like myself, people like maybe some other family members that you have, that were warning you. If you've been around me for the last 20 years, I've been warning people for 20 years about this time that is here right now. So if you didn't listen, what are 3 things that you wish you would have done better? Write those suckers down. Because now you're shifting yourself out of blame and out of victim, and now you're putting yourself on, okay, great, what can I learn from this situation? Well, number 1, obviously, going through this painful experience, not being able to make your mortgage or having to shut the doors of your business by what? Force of the government. I mean, if you're in New York, they're like, sorry, if you're not in the health, if you're not in the medical or postal or grocery, you stay home. I just found out that there are places in the country where they are actually, that are on a shutdown. They've got drones watching the streets and watching people who are driving to see if they're going to the hospital, the doctor, or the bank, or the grocery store. And if they're not going to those places, they're getting a $500 fine. They're like right away dispersing the police officers and giving a fine. Okay? Why? Whatever the reason is, doesn't matter. Bottom line is that if your business, like my friends, I have 2 friends that have restaurants, bam, shut down, been shut down for 3 weeks. One of them is well cashed. The other one, he's like, thank God we had 2 months that were good. Well, that was a business that wasn't being managed well. So what can you learn from that, right? If you don't have money that you have been collecting as a business person and stuffing away, what, a year's worth of stash maybe? Is it 3 months worth of stash? That if something happened catastrophic, that the business would actually be able to tarry through those times? Listen to me. Then that might be something that you write down. Like, whoa, I should have not bought as many Cheetos. I shouldn't have not bought as many Red Bulls. I should not have bought as many Starbucks. Yes, something as simple as that. And or I should have managed the finances better. I should have been watching those things closer. I should not have made, I should not have been not watching the investments I was making. Let me give you a prime example. People who actually buy, I'm checking the time here, people who actually buy advertising campaigns. They buy leads. They buy names and phone numbers to to be able to advertise to, and then they never, ever see and look to see what the conversion ratios are, right? Especially people in direct sales. People in direct sales, they buy leads and never call them, never email them. And they just keep buying the leads. They're like on an auto drip of leads, but they never reach out to those people. They never learned the skill of communicating with those people. They never took the time to get a hold of a script that made it easy to communicate with those people. No, they never even watched. What am I getting for this investment? What is the return on this investment that I'm making? So whether you owned a restaurant, or a telemarketing room, or you're in the health industry or the makeup business, it doesn't matter what, or insurance business, it doesn't matter what business you're in. Bottom line is this, is that one of the things to look at is like, ooh, where was I leaking out that I wasn't really paying attention to? And why? Listen to me, it's human nature. When things are prosperous, we tend to get laxed. We tend to fatten up in our mind. We get a little too lazy. We're just not paying attention. That's the reality. And that is what it is, friend. And so what does that mean? Does that mean you're a bad person? No, it means that this is the time to learn. That's what it means, is that the painful experiences you're going through are going to prepare you with greater wisdom moving forward. Because let me tell you something. What if the everything that is against you is actually not against you? What if everything is actually for you and for your benefit? What if everything is actually for you and for your benefit? Dani, how can you say that? Because I know it to be true, friend. I know it to be true. When I look back to the massive business financial crises that I've had in the last 31 years, the times when I did not learn, but instead blamed and played the victim, I got to learn that one again. And when I got to go through the same experience again, it was harder and harsher the next time. But when I chose to own up, this is what I'm responsible for, this is what I'm getting out of this, I haven't had to relearn that one again. But those formed the rest of my life and completely transformed the way I approached certain things. And I've not returned back to my vomit because of the painful experience that I went through. So listen to me. You right now are on a path, and that path is either going to lead you to success or it's going to lead you to failure. And the failure is because you didn't learn. You can learn skills out of this time, especially when it comes to business. I want to touch on one particular place that when I looked at all the questions that people were asking us when we made a post through Facebook last week, that is very common. Here's one thing. One of the crises that we had learned, my husband and I learned, is that for years we built databases for other organizations, but we never built our own database. Well, after a massive business crisis that we went through in 1999, my husband was wise as a 20-something-year-old who said, never again. We are going to build our own database. We are not going to build the database of somebody else's. So what does that mean? I can guarantee you there's all kinds of businesses right now that wish they had the names and phone numbers of all of their customers. Yeah. For example, one of them that I talked to today, like what if a restaurant, and I've given this advice to restaurants over and over again. Some choose to follow it, some chose not to. But what if they had the names and phone numbers, if they came up with some way to collect even 50% of the names and phone numbers, emails of all of their customers who've been doing business with them, coming in on a weekly basis, maybe twice a week, maybe once a month? What if they had access to that information? What if a restaurant did? Well, right now, at least where we live, drive-through or takeout is still an option. Well, if there was some kind of relationship built with the customer, then it would have been an amazing phone call for the owner or the general manager to call each one of the patrons that have been doing business with your business. You see, relationship first, business follows. Relationship first, business follows. So what if you had gotten a phone call from a restaurant that you've gone to over and over again to say, hey, how's the family? How are you guys doing? And then using very honorable, very respectful, very caring, very nurturing communication skills that says, I care about you and I care about your family. How is everyone healthy? Is everyone okay? How is this affecting you? How are you guys doing this? Then taking that conversation, because naturally, when you show that you care and you're starting off with those kind of conversations, naturally, friend, they're going to ask you, well, how are you doing? How is it going for you, actually? How are you guys dealing with this? Well, actually, I'm glad you asked. We're actually, if we can stay busy, we're still going to be actually cooking for some people who are not used to cooking. And we've actually got an adjusted menu, and we actually can do some, and we're only taking it by appointment only. We can only handle so much volume right now with a limited staff, but we do have some room. So if you're in need and you're just like sick and tired of cooking and you've got some cabin fever after being, locked up, we're here. And I want to touch base with you, make sure that your family's doing okay. And to let you know if it's okay, if we've got some specials going, I'll let you know about it. And maybe, maybe you can let some people know about it too. Maybe you might know someone that is looking for someone to make them some really good, healthy food to keep them sustained during this time. And they're just like, they've had it up to here with doing all their cooking on their own, right? Look, if each one of these little restaurants had actually paid attention to the importance of building relationship with their patrons, some of those businesses would still be open to this day. Not to mention how much more money they would have made if they had that kind of personal connection with the restaurant, which is exactly what I've been teaching for 30 years about how to build those relationships with people so that you can be sustained no matter what is actually hitting. No matter what, everyone's going to be affected. But whether or not you have to lose it all is going to be completely based on the amount of relationships that you can maintain during this time and the level of relationship that you built prior to this time. So, relationships first, business follows. So let's say that, man, Dani, I didn't do a good job of that. Yeah, I didn't call all the leads that I bought. And yeah, I didn't stay in touch with my customers. Okay, did you thank your customers for coming? Well, yeah, sure, thanks for coming. No, I'm talking about a different kind of thank you. Did you remember their birthdays? Like, how did you build relationship, okay? And those relationships that you have, for example, we had a gentleman who's a contractor. And he said, Dani, in the town that we're in, everyone that does renovations has shut their doors. Okay, well, guess what I see that as? Keep your doors open, buddy. Do whatever it takes. Listen, if a contractor did not build good relationships when the time was good, during the hard times, listen, people are still spending money, friend. Listen to me. People are still spending money. Guess what industries are still going to make money? Chocolate. Yep. All vices are still going to do very, very well. Very, very strong. The entertainment industry is going to be strong. Okay, yeah, right now, are they being able to film? Nope, they're not. But people are watching. They're watching at much higher doses than they were before. Why? They're not working right now. Okay, so vices. Alcohol is going to do phenomenal, sadly. Drugs, sadly. Street drugs. Weed is going to skyrocket. Why? Because people are going to numb out. Okay, junk food. It's going to go crazy. Okay, candies. Those are going to thrive. All of those vices. So I don't know, maybe you do like one of our clients did, who was a mom who was abused, and this abused mom that has a 3-month-old baby and up to a 3-year-old and everything in between. This abused mom gets a hold of the book, First Steps to Wealth, which, by the way, you can get your free copy on our website. You can download it right now, and you can start reading, not right now, but tonight, and start reading it. So you got these same options. So, well, a woman reads this book, okay, First Steps to Wealth. She gets a free copy of it, and she's challenged by one of the things that I talk about was starting with nothing. Starting with what you have around you already. I'm checking the time because I don't want to keep you long. So starting with what you have around you. And she's like, I'm a single mom who's been abused. The ex is off and gone with another woman. She has no money. So what did she do? She was standing in her kitchen as she was reading the book. She opened up her cupboards. She opened up the refrigerator, and she found food, dried fruits and vegetables. Dried nuts and fruits, okay? So she's like, okay, I could start making food. And she did. She started making these natural little truffles. This woman went on to make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars right out of her kitchen. She actually went on to then employing 25 other people. She started to manufacture these things. Okay? Why? Reading a free book, starting with what she had already in her house, She got creative rather than feeling like the victim. She stepped out of that victim role. She weighed her ego, which is like the victim, ego which is fearful, ego that is worried, ego that wants to blame, ego that wants to cry. And yes, you probably need to cry, but don't stay there. Don't stay there. Don't be a wimp. It's time to rise up. She crossed over to, okay, what can I do? What is one thing I can do? What is one thing I can do versus the long list of the things I cannot do? So if you're trying to keep your restaurant open or you're trying to, be a contractor and stay open, it's time to connect. It is time to go back and backfill the places that you were not being responsible as a business owner. And that was what? Caring about your customers. Taking good care of them, building relationship with them to the point where it causes them to tell other people about you. Where, again, like if forget it. I can keep going. But I'm telling you this, the contractors who shut their doors, don't be sitting around drinking beer, fool. Eating Cheetos, fool. Don't you dare. Now is the time to well, Dani, how do I do it? Come on, you have invoices. Call these people. Call these people. I would assume some of them have money. And some of them have plenty of money, and they might want to fix something right now. You can't even imagine the amount of people that are still spending. There are still people going through Taco Bell drive-thrus right now. They're still going through Starbucks drive-thru right now, which means they're still being idiots about money. And so if we know this, you can use that information to benefit you and start making a list of what you can do, what is possible. And then I got this other question like, Dani, what can I do to make a lot of money during this time? Pull your head out. Let's just talk about, how can I generate some cash today? Don't be worried about some big business plan, man. It's time to weigh your ego with your bank account. And by the way, some of you, I'm so proud of you. Some have gone from business owner to working at the local grocery store. Good job. Wise, not foolish. Ego versus bank account. Some of you have decided to get started in a business opportunity that somebody else introduced you to a year ago or 2 years ago that you went like this. Yeah, you turned your nose up to direct sales. Well, guess what thrives during an economy like this? Guess what thrives during a crisis? Yeah, network marketing thrives. Yes. It's actually what I made my $250,000 in my first year. Yeah, I got started in the weight loss business and I was fat and the product sucked and I didn't like it and it didn't work for me. I gained weight. However, if you keep yourself out of the equation and how you feel about something, out of the equation, because sometimes your feelings can lie and you know that's true. Feelings often lie, but the facts don't. Do whatever you can to make money and make that money now within moral reason. Hear me, friend. Don't be a fool. Within moral reason. Don't be an idiot. So there's plenty of things that you can be doing. There are some people that are afraid to go to the grocery store right now. You don't know this unless you're communicating with people. So let me start here. I've started on 3 different things already. I've probably given you enough and I probably need to be done with this right now. Here's the deal. You have a database. You have a list. Get good at getting on the phone. And if right now you just went, I hate talking on the phone, I want you to take a bat and hit yourself over the head and say, ego versus bank account, fool, pick one. You cannot have both. Pick one. The times are right now that you don't have a choice. I didn't like the weight loss business. It wasn't a good time. I was a fat chick selling diet products. Hello? And can you believe that right away when I saw that as an option, I was like, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, I'm a homeless woman and I have an ego about how to make money? This is stupid. So listen to me. Get good at getting on the phone. Get good at talking to people. Move whatever stupid, emotional barrier you have out the way and start getting busy and be productive on what you need to do. Because there are things you can do, but you cannot see them if ego is in your face. Just like you can't see me right now if my hands are blocking me. So whatever is blocking you, tear that sucker down. You don't have time for that nonsense. You have a family to feed. You have a mortgage to make. You got a car payment to make. You got things to do. You don't have time for ego right now. So that friend that you turned down last year or last month or last week, like, no, I'm not selling those oils. I'm not selling those vitamins. Like, you're an idiot. You're a total idiot. because people have made millions of dollars in that industry. Don't be a fool. And there's going to be people, there will be stories, I promise you, created this year of people who went from dead broke and have lost it all and started in that industry and bam, made six figures, made multiple six figures. I promise you, it's going to happen. The question is, will it be you? And how do you know if it'll be you? Do you even know how to do it? Listen, I've been training people for 31 years how to succeed from nothing into building something that is viable and that is repetitive and that actually pays you residuals. When everybody else is scrapping, trying to find $1 to buy their next bag of chips, sadly, $1, you can't even buy a bag of chips for $1. Listen to me. There are those people who are right now at smarternetworker.com. Smarternetworker.com. They are pro members, and in that pro membership, they've got access to just first-class university level of training, teaching people how to use that phone and how to use that phone to profit and help people at the same time. I know one person asked a question like, gosh, Dani, how do I market my product without, making it seem like I'm taking advantage of people? Are you taking advantage of people? You're the only one that can answer that question. Well, I don't want to feel like the only reason why I'm calling them is to make money. The reason why you're calling them is so that they can make money. You actually have a solution for these people. You actually have a solution for their health, maybe if you're marketing a health product, or you have a solution for their bank account. Get your ego out of the way. Don't be an idiot. You're wasting time, and guess what? If you're not going to call them, I guarantee you somebody else who's hungry and somebody else who cares about their family, somebody else who cares about their family living long and strong during this time are the people who are going to be on the phone talking to people. They're going to be the people that are studying for hours a day at smarternetworker.com. They're going to do their 30-day free boot camp, and then those who are deadly serious about making a serious level of income will become pro members, which is so cheap to become a pro member, and you'll be studying every day. That's if you're in sales. If you're in direct sales, that's the site to be completely feeding off of every single day. smarternetworker.com. The pro membership is the one you want to get. If you don't want to get that, I'm sorry. Ego versus bank account, start with your 30-day free boot camp. You got nothing to lose. I have people that on the 5th day were already turning profits. On the 5th day, just from the skill, because every single call you're going to get, every single archived message, sorry, everyone has to burp sometimes. Yes, I said that. Anyway, every day you're learning and developing a higher skill set every single day on that. Again, if you're in direct sales, if you're in network marketing, that's the site to be getting professional skills. It is noted, period, hands down. There's not another better training system out there than what is at smarternetworker.com. Okay? If you're not in sales, let me tell you something. Every business is in sales. Every single business is in sales. And if you do not have that mastered, right now, you better step up and get that sucker mastered. You have to. You do not have time to waste. But Dani, people aren't buying. Yes, they are. They're buying every day still. They're using their credit cards every day. And thank God here at DaniJohnson.com, we show you how to pay off all of your debts in 5 to 7 years, including your mortgage, including your car debt, including your student loans. We show you how to do all of that. We've had thousands and thousands and thousands of people pay off all of that stuff and live a life of financial freedom. And those are the guys right now that are going, thank God we paid attention. Okay? So listen to me. People are spending money. The question is how do you get them to spend it with you? If you're worried and you're talking on the phone, they ain't gonna buy from you, friend. Not happening. If you're fearful and you're talking on the phone, they ain't buying anything from you, friend. Not happening. If they know that all you care about is getting them to buy from you, not happening. You've got to learn the skill to put that customer first. You have to learn to communicate in a way where they feel like they are being cared for and that they know because they're connecting with your heart to their heart and that together it's a win-win situation. And now you're actually helping them to get what it is that they need and what they want. So that's a skill set. And those are skills that you can learn, and those are skills you will learn, the same skills I had to learn when I was a homeless woman. Do you understand? That's one of the things that came out of that massive crisis for me, is I had to learn how to communicate differently. I had to learn how to communicate in a way that kept my problems out of the picture and put my 100% focus on the prospect that was in front of me to help them get what they want. But if I had what was in my head, what I wanted from that customer or that prospect, guess what? I wasn't going to get what I wanted But if I could focus and find and discover inside of them what they want, then by golly, I can certainly help them get that. And that's a win-win situation, and it turned out into $250,000 in the first year on a part-time basis, by the way. Yes, a part-time basis. And by the way, I reveal from the sales perspective all of that on smarternetworker.com. And if you're not in that industry, don't be a fool. The training that is inside that pro membership is just crazy amazing. And it will help any business. I've had all kinds of businesses work through it. Okay, so let me make sure that I'm getting you what I need, or everything that I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm going to end this here real soon. Okay, so the guy that I was talking about, the contractor, right? So the contractor, if you're still standing, you're going to be the one that everyone is flocking to. So do what it takes to still be standing. What does that mean? I've already given you some tips. If you're really serious about learning how to thrive during this time, no matter what you're facing with your business right now, okay? Sorry, I want to make sure that what I will tell you is I often too much write down far more than I ever have time to deliver. That if you're really wanting to make sure that you are going to have a solid foundation moving forward, because here's what happened during the crisis. The crisis is like an earthquake, right? It shakes the foundation. So you see where the cracks are. You see where there was the weakness in the fence. You see where oh man, I should have dealt with that pipe a long time ago, and now it's bursting everywhere. Do you understand? So the fact is that this reveals things. And what it does is it reveals where the weaknesses were so that you can strengthen those areas. And if you're really serious about not being a victim of these circumstances, but instead being stronger because of these circumstances and shoring up the weak places and moving ego out of the way and having a sure, solid plan on how you can move forward for your life, for your family, and for your future, then I'm going to encourage you to join us right here for a virtual First Steps to Success that's taking place on April 24th through the 26th. The dates are on the website. If you click the event tab, you'll find out how you can get registered right now for this virtual. It's the first time that we've ever done this, but it's a virtual First Steps to Success. It'll be the same exact content that our clients have used, many of them, to go and become millionaires out of terrible, horrible crises. Many of them who've gone from nothing, making nothing, to 6 figures inside of a single year, have a single abused mom with 3 children who made $259,000 her first year using the information that comes out of First Steps to Success. Single abused mom of 3 children who was living off of the church. The church was putting food in her pantry. She had nothing and spent years in an abusive relationship, abused physically, verbally, financially, and could never get herself ahead. Well, this same 2-day training, this single abused mom of 3 went on to make $259,000 in 12 months. Will that be you? I don't know. What will determine if it's you? If you join us on April, the last weekend of this month, the last weekend of April, sorry, not this month, this is March. Okay, so 3.5 weeks from now, it's on the website, First Steps to Success. It's the first virtual event that we've ever done. Everything is usually live on events, but guess what? We're not going to stop equipping you to succeed and preparing you for what is ahead and making sure that your foundation is going to be stronger so that you are full-eyed, full-hearted, ready to attack what is in front of you instead of being crippled by absolute fear and feeling like you're being bullied and trapped and beaten up. No longer will circumstances control you after First Steps to Success. No longer will it. And by the way, we have a tremendous amount of free content on our website. I did a radio and television show for 10 years, and prior to that, I did a weekly call of training for years, for decades. That information is on the site. You can have access to that. And if you're serious about getting in and getting deep starting right now, you can go ahead and take advantage of the Life Map for Success. It's called Life Map for Success. Doesn't matter what kind of crazy detour you're taking right now, it's going to help you get centered and give you some clarity coming out of business confusion, coming out of financial confusion, and setting a path straight ahead for you, which will invigorate you, give you confidence, and knowing that, hey, I might not know where I'll be 10 years from now, but I know I won't be here ever again. And I guarantee you won't if you follow these instructions, just as I have not returned back to the same place I was 10 years ago, or I was 20 years ago, or where I was 30 years ago. And neither will you. I promise you that. I'm going to close with this final. We say, how do I stand out or be different, or maybe do differently than all the other online businesses out there, and not just be another, here's someone else going live. Exactly. Friend, listen to me. That's a long answer. That is a skill set that currently you're missing. But at First Steps to Success, you're going to gain that skill set so that you're not just another live person going live that's doing nothing besides wasting your time. How can you be set apart? Well, there's one thing I can tell you right now. You have a database. All your friends, families, contacts, all the friends from high school, all of the old coworkers that you have. That right there is gold in your hands. That's what it is. And those people actually know you. You actually matter to them, and they matter to you. So rather than trying to go and catch, and be out there with every Tom, Dick, and Harry and so-called next new expert that's online, forget all that nonsense. You have a list. Do they know what you're doing? Do you know what they're doing? Do you know where they need help? Can you help them with what they need help with? You're going to have tremendous success if you learn how to work that database. And if you don't know how to work that database, and if what you're getting is like, man, how do I even enter in on that conversation? Okay, smarternetworker.com has information right there. Again, just start the boot camp, start in your pro membership, start activating that right now. In the Life Map for Success here at DaniJohnson.com on this website that you're watching this right now, the Life Map of Success starts getting you started on that path. Not to mention there's a whole archive of different training in there. How do I communicate with someone I haven't talked to in a long time? We have a script for that. How do I like bring up what it is that I'm doing without seeming like a slick oil salesperson? We have a script for that. Like, how do I talk to someone I haven't talked to in a really long time? We have a script for that. How do I leave a voicemail where actually people will call me back? We have a script for that. What do I say to them when they say, oh, I can't afford it, I don't have the time, or I need to talk to my spouse? We have a script for that. We have a script for all of that. And that, again, is in our resources on our website. It's all there. You have no reason to fail right now, friend. I'm serious. So no matter what kind of business you have a database. Make the list. Make the list. It is powerful, and I promise you, everybody that is trying to capture, doing lives and all that kind of stuff, they're trying to get a hold of your database that you have. It's free. And guess what? People pay big money for lists. And it's free. And yours is more attached to you than it is to some advertiser who's trying to advertise to that list. There's trust that is already established between you and who's on that list. So make that list. Make it, get it to 2,000 names. Think back as far as you possibly can. Okay, think of every single profession. If you open up a white pages, which some houses still have, start at the very beginning of the yellow pages actually, and see different types of, who do you know who's a mechanic? Who do you know that's a dentist? Who do you know that's a doctor? Who do you know that works at a grocery store? Start thinking of those. And by the way, we have inside of our script books, there's a place where it talks about that it helps for you to jog your memory. It's called creating a bank of names, and literally that bank of names is a bank account. Do you know how to work that list? You're going to learn how to work that list either at smarternetworker.com on that boot camp, and or DaniJohnson.com right there under our resources tab or products. There's script books right there. Get a hold of them. You can easily customize them for your contracting business or your restaurant business or whatever kind of business it is you have. If you are in direct sales, it's already made for that, clearly. If you're in a language school, it works for that. It doesn't matter what business you have. It works. It absolutely works for it. How do I know? Because we've had tens of thousands of people report to us, and those script books have made companies people have generated collectively hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's going to continue to do that no matter what happens in today's economy, okay? So I hope that today was helpful for you, and I'm going to see you at First Steps to Success, the virtual First Steps to Success. We're going to work together for 2 days where you're going to be coached for 2 solid days. If you have an organization or a company, you might want those people to join you in that, and they each need to get registered themselves for this virtual training seminar. It's going to be taking place. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's going to be huge stories, huge success stories, people making money out of thin air. It's going to come out of that event. And the question is, will it be you or not? Will it be you or not? You're in charge of whether or not you're a yes to that. You're completely in control of that. And you will be just like, and by the way, if you're still skeptical, don't stay there, fool. Weigh your ego with your bank account. I'm sorry if that's offensive. If you're still skeptical, don't stay there. You have nothing to lose. You have absolutely nothing to lose. We guarantee our content is going to produce results. We guarantee it. Okay, so you have nothing to lose besides time, and you've already wasted a lot of that, friend. So get registered right now. First Steps to Success. It's the first virtual First Step Success that's taking place. You're going to do it right from your home, right from your smartphone or your computer, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. So I hope that tonight was helpful and beneficial to you. Please write me and let me know if it is. I will continue to bring on a weekly basis more tidbits of helpful information in the direction of where you want it and where you need it. And if this is helpful, I'll keep doing it. If it's not, I'm out. I got other things to do just like you do, right? We both have other things to do. So please leave me a comment right here below on the video where you are watching it right now. And please let me know if this was helpful and if there is even other things that you would like to see us talk about, because I could talk for hours about business, hours and hours. And again, if you want more of that specialized training, I told you where to get it, and I can't wait to see you at First Steps to Success. So I'm signing off. Good luck. God bless you. I may or may not talk to you next week, but there is archives, there's podcasts, there's all kinds of audios that you can be tapping into to keep your mind fresh as a business person. Because listen, we got to rally together. We got to make this happen, and we will. I promise you. You can survive this. You're going to make it through this. It's not going to be easy, but you're not a wimp. So don't wimp out on me right now. It's time to toughen up and learn what we got to learn so that we can get to the other side, because we will get to the other side. And there's only going to be a few standing, and you're going to be one of them. Do you hear me? You're going to be one of them. We're going to be one of them. We're going to make it, and we're going to be fine, but it's not going to be easy, and you're not afraid of hard work. So let's get to work. All right, I'll be talking to you soon. I'll be looking at the comments that you leave me right below this video right now. And by the way, share this. Please right now, share it if you found it was helpful at all. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Bye.